The human mind is a complex machine, and it generates thoughts and ideas constantly. The data shows that we think up to 100,000 thoughts in any given day. And of course, the majority of those are not conscious. Our mind is a source of creativity and unlimited imagination, but have you ever wondered whether your thoughts are really your own? That's what we're going to be covering in this video. So, are your thoughts really your own? Or are they mostly controlled by external factors of subconscious thinking? Well, we understand the idea of free will, that it is the ability to make choices that are not predetermined by external factors or by other people. It's the notion that we master our own destiny and our thoughts are a product of our own free will. Recent studies have shown that our decisions and our thoughts are actually often based on subconscious factors such as experiences, culture, and even genetics. This raises the question of whether our thoughts are actually our own. Do they come from our own free will? Well, I tend to think of it a little bit differently. I don't really think about our thoughts being free will necessarily, but I do 100% think of our actions being a product of free will. Now, some people may argue that and say that we don't always have control over our actions, and I totally deny that. I don't agree with that at all. Our actions are our free will. But in order to make choices based on our free will, it would seem like we would need to get control over the types of thoughts that we most often think and become more aware of those subconscious thoughts that pop up and start to control them. That is our free will. So what is free will? Again, it's the notion that we master our own destiny and our thoughts as a product of our own free will. But we are continuously impacted by external factors. That doesn't mean that we don't have free will. It just means that we need to be tuned in to the external factors that may be controlling what we're thinking. And then analyze, are those thoughts real? Are they productive? Are they in our greatest good and for the greatest good of everyone else involved? Those are really important questions that help us to examine what we're thinking and, in response, our actions to those thoughts. So one thing that greatly impacts our types of thinking is our environment. The people that we interact with are incredibly impactful on us. I don't know if you've ever heard the statement, but you most take after the 5 people you hang around with the most. You are most impacted by the 5 people you hang around the most. Now, I don't know if that's statistically true or not, but it certainly does seem reasonable that whoever we surround ourselves by most often would impact us to some degree, just as we impact them. So it's important to analyze our thought processes and in terms of who we're hanging out with, who we're surrounding ourselves with, and decide, am I adopting the thought processes and therefore behaviors and actions of those I'm surrounded by? Or am I able to be in a group surrounded by people that I may love or respect, yet still generate my own thoughts? An example of environmental impacts on our thoughts would be where you grew up, what type of household you grew up in. And certainly your experiences within that household shape the way that you think, what you believe at an early age. But what that does not mean is that you need to be a slave to that for the remainder of your life. That's where our free will comes in. Of course, we're going to be subject to the ideas and the beliefs of other people. And of course, we may start to adopt those subconsciously without being really thoughtful about it. But I believe that's where our free will comes in. We have the free will to take in an idea, to toss it around in terms of our perspective of the world and the values that we hold, and decide whether we want to entertain those particular beliefs or ideas. We can break away from how our past has impacted the way we view the world. We can break away from the things that we've been taught that don't align with us. And we can be very thoughtful, and we can also be aware of how other types of external forces impact us. One massive external force that's impacting everyone. I don't care who you are, what side of any issue you're on, but the media impacts us dramatically. I personally find the majority of the media to be an enemy of the people in a lot of ways, because it's rare to find unbiased reporting in any type of news media these days. In fact, if you really you've got to step back to take a look, right? So that you're not emotionally triggered. But go ahead and read 10 headlines in the news from a variety of different sources and ask yourself, are these headlines created to emotionally trigger us? I would not hesitate to say that they are. In fact, I believe that's their purpose these days. So it's very, very easy to have our thought processes challenged by just the media and what they're putting out there. Now, challenging your thoughts and beliefs is not a bad thing. In fact, I encourage you to do that frequently, right? To make sure that what you are thinking is truly in line with who you want to be. But I will also caution you, when you read a headline or you see some news report or you're watching some specific incident within a TV show and you're very emotionally triggered, ask yourself why that is. That doesn't mean when you're emotionally triggered it's always a bad thing. It's just we oftentimes adopt ideas and thought processes and worldviews that we can challenge because that's not our life experience, but we're being told it is. We are being emotionally triggered often, all the time, to battle against each other about ideas that are put forth to us as fact, and it's our free will to decide if they are. There's so much division and fighting that is going on these days. Not that we haven't done that throughout history, but it's really heightened right now. And they're about, the arguments are about vastly important things that matter to individuals greatly, whether it be politics, medical issues, different types of laws, ways that people should be and what should be acceptable and what should not. I think we are provoked into fighting with one another. And when we engage in that, we are using our free will to do so. Now, my issue with that is that I believe in the united we stand, divided we fall piece. And I do believe that there are some a lot of negative things going on in my particular country, in our world these days. But I think that it would really be beneficial for us all to take a step back out of emotionality and take a look at what's really driving all this recent division. The last 3 years have been just unbelievable. The last 6 years, just the same. So the people that we interact with, the media that we consume, and the experiences that we have all shape our thoughts and beliefs. For example, if we are exposed to negative stereotypes about a particular group of people, we may begin to believe those stereotypes ourselves, even though our own personal life experience has not proven that to be true. We can be swayed very easily through emotion by external factors. And I believe that there's a great force out there working to do exactly that and keep us divided. Our environment can greatly impact the way that we think and the opinions that we hold, but our free will, our power, is in being able to discern what is actually true and what is meant to divide us. That's the game these days, okay? Many people in the government and the media have studied for a long, long time the psychology behind controlling people through emotions. When people are emotionally triggered, their free will is compromised. Until they learn the skill of stepping out of that emotion and coming to any particular situation through experience, through research if you don't have personal experience, and through just taking a look at why these things happen. Why are they being perpetrated? What would be the benefit in dividing us? Now, another factor that is thought to influence our free will is biology. There's been some research out there that shows that certain genes can contribute to personality traits, such as like impulsivity or risk-taking behavior. That means that some of our thoughts and actions may be influenced by our genetic makeup, and that our biology may be able to shape our perceptions and the way that we think. And there may be some connections to what's called epigenetics in that case. With all that said, and as much as that may be true, that's not where our free will lies. Our free will lies in being able to examine our behavior, metacognition, be able to think about what we're thinking about and why that is, and then regaining our free will. There are definitely behaviors that we need to count on our genetic, biological, instinctive nature to take care of. If we're in danger, we think from that amygdala and the fight, flight, or freeze response, and that is very appropriate in many situations, particularly when we're in danger. Now, the thing is, we don't need to work out of our amygdala quite as much as people did back thousands of years ago, right? Where they had to fight for their food, they had to hunt things, they had to know if they were going to be in danger while doing so. We don't have that anymore, but we do have other things that present themselves in our lives that do prompt us to act from our amygdala, that reptilian part of our brain. But what we should not allow is our amygdala to be triggered by emotion-filled bias, headlines, news reports, social media content, that type of thing. When we do that, we're actually using our free will to give away our own power, right? So I kind of think that everything is free will, including ignoring things. Inaction is free will. Refusing to take a step back and look at things from a greater perspective, that's use of your free will. Not moving to better yourself, or to better your thought processes, or to better control the quality of your thoughts. All that is free will. People tend to think of free will as just the actions that you engage in, and that is certainly part of it. But before we can start to really utilize our actions for our own best good and the best good of others, we really, really need to dig into our thought processes, our beliefs, and kind of suss out what is true, what is not true for us. What's true for us is likely not true for everyone, and that is okay. But it is our free will to step back and examine ourselves. Our thoughts are really a product of a complex interplay between our biology, our environment, and our conscious decisions. And it's the ongoing conversation between all these factors that helps to shape our thoughts and beliefs. We're not passive recipients of our thoughts, although I think sometimes we are, with that subconscious thinking that comes through ingrained behavior through our experiences, whether they be positive or negative, helpful or not helpful. But we are active participants in their creation and what we do with those thoughts. And so if we can cultivate an awareness of the influences that impact our thoughts and our beliefs, and consequently our actions, we can exercise our free will to shape our minds and therefore our identities and the actions that we choose. So how do you keep check of your thoughts? Do you feel like you're being bombarded with a bunch of negative thoughts from external forces? If you feel like they're just coming from within you, I invite you to take a look at what external influences you might be consuming that may be contributing to those internal negative thought patterns. Free will is not just about how we choose to act. It's also our responsibility to take a look at what we believe, what kind of thoughts enter our mind most frequently, and where they come from. What types of external factors are impacting our thought processes and how we choose to view the world. I honestly, with all the negative things that are in the world, I actually do believe deep in my heart that the majority of people are very, very good people. That doesn't mean they always make the right choice. That doesn't mean that they're always kind and perfect and use the best words all the time. We are human after all. We have failures, and hopefully we grow from them and we move forward. But I truly do believe that the majority of the world is good. I also believe that there's a lot of negativity out there. But my perspective is that the negativity is given a platform, and it makes it look so much deeper and bigger than it actually is. And regardless of all that, regardless if the world is full of good people or full of bad people or a mix of both, that should not impact how we decide to utilize our free will. I mean, that is ours. That's something that nobody can take away. People are trying to take that away from you by triggering you emotionally, by making you feel defeated, by telling you you can't do certain things. But you have the free will to reject that. You have the free will to make a better plan for yourself. You have the free will to rise above the negativity and take action towards a better world. We have that free will if we choose to take it. Doesn't mean it's always going to be easy. It's certainly not always going to be pleasant. You will have people that speak up against you, that fight you over your ideas, and that work to crush your ability to use your free will for the benefit of good for yourself and others. But utilize your free will to push that aside and ignore it. I really do believe that most people just want to create a good world for themselves, their community, their families, their country, and for the most part, just want to be left alone, right? And it is your free will to bury your head in the sand and ignore things that are going on. But I don't suggest it. Because part of free will is knowing what's going on, knowing the truth of what's happening as best you can, which is kind of hard these days with all the censorship, all the changing of definitions, all the misrepresentation of things that have happened in our world and in our country, in our towns and cities. But through our free will and through our search for truth, we can make choices that are conscious rather than being controlled by our subconscious thoughts and external forces. That's where your power really lies. So the concept of free will and the ownership of our thoughts is not a simple one. And while external factors may be influencing our thinking, and they are, we still have the ability to make choices and to shape our own identities. It's up to us to be mindful of these influences and to strive for a deeper understanding of ourselves and our thought processes. Our thoughts are not predetermined, but rather a product of ongoing dialogue and a search for truth between ourselves and the world around us. Let's strive to exercise our free will and take back ownership of our thoughts. And in doing so, I believe we can create a more authentic and fulfilling life. Let's use our free will to choose to unify together as best we possibly can. Because all any of us want are a good life for ourselves, for the people around us, our families, and our world. There's a lot of people fighting against that. They're usually much higher up than us, but that doesn't mean in times that it feels so hopeless that it actually is. We have so much power through the use of our free will, through the use of discernment and critical thinking to make the best choices that we possibly can for ourselves. So don't let anybody hold you back. Don't let anything hold you back. Don't let yourself hold you back. There are a lot of great things that we can all accomplish in this world, and I encourage you to do so.